No longer are you picking up cups off the ground for ceramic or just collecting random junk. In Starfield, you are collecting the raw resources to either research new projects or to get into the crafting systems. Now, the research and crafting system is very different in Starfield, and it's a pretty complex system to break down. So today I'm going to do my best to explain everything you need to know about crafting and research projects. Let's go. Let me know in the comments if you're investing in the crafting system or if you're just going to steal weapons from anyone else you find. All right, so let's start with how researching essentially works. Now, at the very start of the game, when you haven't got any of these skills, you'll have a couple of different crafting things available to you, whether that be in Outposts or at either the spacesuit workbench or the weapon workbench, that sort of thing. But for the most part, any investment that you want to have into this crafting system, you'll need to research a specific project. And this is for all of the different categories, whether that be food and drink or outpost development or equipment for your spacesuits or weaponry for all of the different weapon modifications. So what you'll need to do to make progress in these research projects is have the resources required to research that project. As you invest further, you'll eventually need corresponding skills as well, but for the most part here at the research lab, you'll then pick a specific type that you want to invest in and then add resources that you have collected out in the world or wherever you've collected them from into that project. And then once you have filled out all of the required resources, you'll complete that project and you'll then be able to craft whatever that gives you access to do. Now, in some cases as well, you'll see like these sudden developments that'll pop up. And essentially what this is it will reduce the number of resources needed to complete that project. So if you add certain resources, you'll occasionally get this like sudden development where you'll just won't have to worry about collecting some of the other required resources. This is like really good for some of the harder resources to find, like the rare resources. So always put the like less rare resources in first in case you get those sudden developments, and then it will automatically give you some of the other resources so you don't actually need them. Any resources that you do actually need, you can track them by hitting the track button, and they'll get that little blue magnifying glass as well. So then they'll show up for you, whether it be in the world or in vendors, so you can go and grab them specifically and then put them back into the project that you're looking for. So once you're done with researching, it's time to talk about crafting. So there are multiple different crafting stations, starting with the spacesuit workbench, which allows you to craft all sorts of upgrades for your spacesuit itself. You've got the weapon workbench, pretty self-explanatory what that does. The cooking station allows you to craft cooking food and drinks and meals, and the pharmaceutical lab will allow you to craft chems and aid items. And then the last one is the industrial workbench. Now, this is the major difference in Starfield. So some research projects or actual like mods that you might be adding to your spacesuit, or even when you're in outpost building, will actually require you to have a particular like crafted material. And like the most common one for this is like the adaptive frame for just like crafting in your outpost, right? Now you can find these out in the world, like there's plenty of them around, scattered around that you should grab, but you can actually craft these at the industrial workbench. And then if you invest in the special design skill, you'll actually be able to craft some of the more rarer ones of these different crafted materials. But essentially here is what you use to craft those particular items if you can't find them. I would also highly recommend to add the workshop hab module to your ship, so you've got all of these crafting stations and the research lab in your ship. It just makes that process so much easier, so you don't have to like return to Constellation to go into the basement there to do crafting or something like that. There are plenty of skills involved in the crafting research system as well. So first is the research methods, which gives you a reduction in the amount of resources required to complete research projects, and at its high levels it'll increase the chances of sudden developments happening as well. The Neurojack aid item also does a similar effect as well, so if you've got plenty of these, make sure you use that before you actually do any research projects. You've also got the spacesuit design and the weapon engineering skill, which will then allow you to craft all of the spacesuit mods and the weapon mods as well. Outpost engineering as well as gastronomy and chemistry are also important for their corresponding research projects. There are a couple of others that are involved as well, but they're sort of the main ones you need to hit. If you're wondering which ones to focus on, the research methods is a good all-rounder because it just reduces the cost of the resources required for either of these projects. But I personally would suggest to invest in spacesuit design and weapon mods first, because really you're not going to be outpost or doing a lot of outposts until much later in the game, and getting better like mods on your armor or your weapons is just a bigger buff to your overall playstyle until you get further into the game. And you can invest in the other ones obviously depending on your own choices, but I absolutely recommend spacesuit design first. Now, mainly because of the pack mods. So once you get pack mods 3, you can actually change the type of boost pack that's on your boost pack itself. So you'll find different boost packs that have different boost packs on them in the world, but being able to actually make this change and put the one that you like the best invest on it is really important, especially putting on the power boost pack. Like that's absolutely my favorite because it gives you such a massive boost when you trigger it. Like skip capacity is sort of like a worse basic boost because it's so short, and then basic is obviously the one that you're most used to, but the power one is just such a good boost because you get so high in the air. It's great for those like low grab areas. I highly recommend it, but you need to get that spacesuit design up before you can actually get it. But then obviously weapon mods as well, so you can change the weapons to fit your playstyle, like making them automatic or semi-automatic or add elemental damage. And then later on I'd invest in outposts when you sort of pass that initial point where these things actually matter in terms of, you know, your overall combat prowess in combat. But the main thing we haven't talked about yet is resources. Like you can't do any of this without resources. Now I did mention it earlier, but you can mark the resources in the project screen or even on any of these workbenches if you need to find those specific resources out in the world or from people. Also, if you have the rank 4 scavenging skill, these will also be highlighted with your scanner, so you won't actually need to find them in the world in that way. They'll be highlighted on your scanner too if anything gives you that resource you need. So finding resources or farming them can be done via a number of methods. You can farm them from plants or rocks or animals on planets. If you're doing it via this method, investing in geology, botany and zoology skills for their corresponding types would absolutely help you in get more of those resources from those different things if you wanted to go that route. But basically every resource can be farmed on a planet. So most common animals and plants will just give you like typical things like fiber or nutrients or something, but you can definitely find them that give you some of the more uncommon or rare resources like say cosmetics that you need for like spacesuit upgrades for like all of your spacesuit upgrades. So you can find them, it's just they are few and far between, like finding those animals and plants that give you those rare resources. So when you do, you want to make note of that and what planet that is if you want to return there to actually get those resources. You can also shoot rocks in space to destroy the rock, and then it'll give you a mineral deposit that you can then collect the resources. That'll go straight into your cargo hold as well, so it just saves you that process of having to put things into your cargo hold. So use the weapon systems, like your ballistic weapons are often best to destroy them. A really great thing to do is to build extractors on planets. So a common example that I've used before is aluminum, because it's such a great resource. Like everything uses aluminum. So I have a outpost that is an extractor for aluminum on Codus, the moon of Aquila, which I return to often when I just need to grab some aluminum, because you can essentially just go here and then build up your outpost if you want to build it up there, but you can just build that extractor, power it, and it will give you those resources. If you don't want to go and get them yourself, if you're, you know, lazy, like sometimes I am, you can go to a vendor. Now, most of the like standard vendors in towns will have the resource tab, which will sell you various resources, but mining outposts are a great way to get some of the more unique ones as well. Mining outposts that you'll find on planets, not the abandoned ones, the actual mining outposts will have a vendor that'll then sell you some of those resources as well. So finding out what method works for you, but I would definitely recommend to build extractors on planets and also keep notes of, say, plants and animals on certain planets that give you those rare resources, potentially build outposts on those planets so you can return to them quickly, grab those resources when you need them, because you will definitely need them if you want to invest further into this system, whether that be simply for, you know, combat enhancements to your spacesuit or weapons, or even investing in outposts, because there's a ton of items in the outpost system, like all of your decor and robots and decor and power upgrades and extractor upgrades. It's all locked behind these research projects. So at the start, any of the outpost stuff you have is pretty limited, and you'll need to invest in that system before you can really expand your outpost to a much larger degree. So it's well worth doing for that reason. But let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, guys. Thank you for watching this video till the end. Thank you to our members for supporting the channel. My name is Norza, and I hope you have a great day.